Hello. I feel like I'm going to regret this. This is some strong light happening here, but you know what? When you've got a minute, you take it. So we're going to go for it. Whew. Welcome to my Christmas paradise. There are star garlands everywhere, and I'm loving all of it. I want to talk about what we do on the holidays alone and even spending the holidays alone. Every year I do a little ceremony, and it goes along with the 12 days of Christmas. And in this ceremony, you choose 13 wishes for the next year. This was the second year that I did this tradition, and one of the wishes that I chose was to have let's see if I can remember all of it, New Year's, Mother's Day, birthday, Thanksgiving, and Christmas holiday celebrations of my dreams. And the reason that I chose that is because I, as a single person, feel that I have spent most of my life just trying to fit into other people's holiday celebrations. Even my own birthday, because my wonderful, amazing nephew was born on my birthday. And so there's always been a feeling for the last 18 years that I kind of want to step back a little bit and not step on his toes, not take any attention away from him. For the last almost 20 years, I just feel like I just go with the flow. I kind of glom on. I don't mean this as a complaint. I have been very lucky. My family has had some incredible, beautiful celebrations, and I feel very lucky to have been a part of them. But there is a certain level of otherness that I have allowed myself to experience. And also that I feel, to be fair, that women who are single and childless are subjected to in our culture. We don't bring women, in my circumstances, into the fold as a society. I feel like women who are like me, who have life circumstances like me, often feel pressure to do what I do, which is just whatever the empty space is, fill it. Whatever the need is, fill it. Whatever people want to do, be there for it, support it. Knowing that I've gone through that for the last 20-ish years, I have really wanted to honor myself as a single childless person. Like, that's really important, because I feel like the act of plugging into these quote empty spaces and just showing up where I can show up, there's a certain amount of that I feel has diminished my own reality as a family of one. And again, that has nothing to do with the people that I've spent these holidays with. That is something, again, that I think is very cultural, societal. I had to start facing this earlier this year when I spent the very first New Year's Eve of my life alone. When I made those wishes, and that particular one was at the top of the list, the New Year's celebration of my dreams, this was before my father fell ill. And he was in the hospital the week from Christmas to early January. And I had no idea that would be happening. Obviously, I had no idea that I would end up spending New Year's Eve alone. And it was an incredibly traumatic time for me. So it definitely was not the New Year's Eve of my dreams. And I really, in some ways, don't want to remember it. However, I remember sitting here in this exact spot here on my couch and right next to my tree, which was here, and watching movies and crying and journaling and feeling like, oh, you know what? This isn't so bad. Of course, the circumstances that I was going through at the time were horrific, but the spending of the holiday alone was not. I got to choose whatever movie I wanted to watch. I got to do whatever I wanted to do. Like, there was a certain level of it that was very validating to who I am and what I want. And so that just kind of helped me move through the year with that perspective. It's still been touch and go. I haven't figured out how to deal with Mother's Day at all. That's a whole other story, maybe for a separate video. Then my father ended up dying just days before my birthday. And so there was no possible way that I was going to have the birthday of my dreams. However, it was surprisingly one of the best birthdays I had, thanks to my brother and his wife and my niece and nephew. So all of the things that I have been learning about how to honor myself on these holidays, it's all been very much fly by the seat of my pants, try to figure out what to do in the moment, and just doing the best that I can with it. So when fall rolled around and I realized we had Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up, and that, this is the first holiday season without my dad, I was quite nervous about that and quite nervous about potentially spending these days alone. I didn't want to ask my brother if I could come over to his house or be a part of his celebration. I wanted it to be his choice because we are all dealing with this grief of not having dad, and I didn't want to become a burden to anybody else. But I also initially felt very strongly that I did not want to be alone. I was very scared about that. Now, the funny thing is, all of the anxieties that I was having about not being invited over or not being included somewhere were completely unnecessary because my brother invited me to join him and his family for both Thanksgiving and Christmas. And we had a lovely Thanksgiving celebration. But afterwards, it was so interesting to me. I actually wondered what it would have been like to be alone that day. I don't know why, but having had a successful celebration with them, it gave me feelings of confidence that I would have potentially had a great time here by myself. I'm not saying I regret not doing that, but it was a thought that, I wonder why I didn't think about maybe deciding to do something just by myself on Thanksgiving. Like, I literally had not wanted that specifically beforehand. And then afterwards, I couldn't stop thinking about how interesting that would have been to have been alone. Why not? Why not? So my brother and I had this discussion before Thanksgiving when he invited me for Christmas, and his idea was maybe I could come over on Christmas Eve, have a sleepover, and be there to watch the kids open their presents the next morning, and all of that, which was lovely again and a great idea. But I remember being a little bit hesitant about that one. I was all in for Thanksgiving, but that one I was a little hesitant about. And at first I couldn't figure out why. But as I thought about it, I realized that I didn't want to find myself fitting into empty spaces, even those that are given out of generous invitation. And what I mean by that is that normally they would be on their own on Christmas Eve and Christmas morning. They have their own family traditions that they do. The kids love to wake up super early and get their presents opened. I'm sure that they are very excited and bouncing off the walls on Christmas Eve, just like we did when we were kids. And all I could think about was, I am going to be observing that if I'm there during those times. Yes, I will be part of it. Yes, it would be lovely. Yes, I want to support my family. I want to be there for my niece and nephew, but I will be centering those children, as should happen. To me, that is what they should get to experience. They should get to have their ultimate Christmas. But that's where my mind would be. Them first and then me. And I realized that would be another exercise of centering other people and other holiday traditions and other people's holiday traditions over my own, and another way of neglecting my family of one. And none of this is bad. Like, I feel like I could go there and do that if it was for the right reason and I was in a different headspace. But I feel very, very passionately lately that I want to take care of myself. I want to put myself first. I want to center myself after a lifetime of being a caregiver, an eldest daughter, a helper, a big sister. I want to be first. I want to have my holidays. I want to be the person who decides. I want to be the person who gets to think about her family first and then everything else second. And my family is me. And so I've thought about this more and more and more. I was nervous at first about the idea of spending Christmas or part of Christmas alone. And then, like I said, once I thought about, wow, Thanksgiving probably would have been fun to spend Thanksgiving alone. Once I had that in my head, I realized that the same would be true for Christmas. And I also realized I have never been in my own house on Christmas Eve night or Christmas Day, ever. I have always been at my mom's house. I will go to my mom's house on the 23rd or the morning of Christmas Eve, and I will spend the night there and wake up there on Christmas morning. I also have a lot of difficult memories coming up. My father became very sick on Christmas Eve last year, and it's not even something that I want to talk about, but I'm very aware that I'm going to need space and care on that day. And again, I feel that it is important to be in an environment where I feel comfortable centering myself and taking care of myself. And if I am there with my brother and his kids, my head is going to be on them. And that's not going to help me when those memories come up. The more that I thought about it, the more that I realized it just felt right to be here on Christmas Eve night. And I even have thought about the ways that I want to celebrate and enjoy myself. I already have envisioned putting blankets and pillows all over the floor in here, having a little like picnic set up for dinner, making something special for myself. Haven't decided what. I want to have my knitting ready. I've got a whole pile over here. I have a winter puzzle that I need to sort and get started so that I can have it ready to go. And I just envision myself sitting in here all evening, watching Christmas movies and knitting and putting together puzzles and snacking. And before that, I was thinking, I don't know, I haven't really thought out the whole day yet. There might be some time that I spend with the kids, I don't know. But I really would love to spend a significant amount of time here just enjoying myself and baking. I want to bake. I finally got my freezer. I want to bake and then put a bunch of cookies in the freezer and also have some to take to my brother's the next day. And then I envision waking up in the morning on Christmas Day and having a present that I have wrapped for myself. I really want to do something nice and have a present under the tree. And the other thing I want to do is make sourdough cinnamon rolls and have them ready to go to pop in the oven on the morning of Christmas Day, play some Christmas music, sit around and enjoy myself, work on my puzzle, and then head over to my brother's. After the kids are done opening their gifts, then we can spend the day together and they can show me all their stuff that they got. What I love about this is that it's really a small shift. It is not a big change in the original plan. It is just the tiniest adjustment, and yet it feels so nourishing to me. Just thinking about it makes me feel so happy. I have written about this both on Medium and Substack, and I will link both of those articles. So depending on which platform you prefer, you can read them there. And it was interesting because somebody left a comment saying something like, well, that sounds really lonely to me, but I guess you just got to work with what you have. It's so fascinating to me because it does not sound lonely to me. It sounds so exciting and wonderful and warm and cozy. When I think about being there for family members for their holiday celebrations, that feels lonelier to me. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't mean that in a hurtful way. I think single people will understand this because it feels like stepping back from myself. And in this way, I get to take care of myself and be with family. I get to do both. And that feels really, really important. So I just want to send out this encouragement to anyone out there, first of all, who is thinking about enjoying the holidays by themselves, do it any way you like. Like, it doesn't even have to be like, following the traditions of the holiday like I'm thinking of doing. Like, go on a road trip, go do something fun. And I also want this to go out there for anybody who is going to be alone on the holidays and doesn't want to be. I understand that as well. And that can be hard. If you don't want it, it sucks. Know that there are people out here who have struggled with this like you, and do the best that you can to take care of yourself and give yourself whatever you need during the holiday season and the day of the holiday. So I'd love to hear if any of you are spending your holidays alone, or if you'd like to. And what would you do? What are you planning to do? What would you like to do if you could? What would be your dream solo holiday? Leave a comment and let me know. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a wonderful, wonderful holiday, whatever you celebrate. And I will see you next time.